Lionel, is that you?
There, I think I got it.
Hey.
Roll the ball. Oh, yeah, you can see me again? Uh-oh.
No, Lionel.
Yeah, he's talking to me.
Oh, good. I don't know if I put any pants on.
It's not necessary.
Here I am.
There you are. Boy, the first 15 or 17 seconds of this podcast has been dynamic. Don't you think? Marcus?
It was quite dynamic.
Dynamic. Does everybody have their pants on now?
I'm not gonna say. The camera's not on, so some things are just best left to wonder.
See, again, now we've gone back down that road. There's one particular podcast that would think they're better than us because they never talk about having their pants on or off.
Well, if they've never talked about it,
It never comes up in the conversation.
Yeah.
Hey?
So then we should assume the worst with them, right?
All right. Well, that voice you heard. So we got Marcus, the AML's most eligible bachelor. We have Daniel Banks, a.k.a. whose Broadway career is his fledgling Broadway career is underway and is now going to devote himself through the month of May to attending Indianapolis 500 events. You could at least go to the parade. That doesn't cost you anything.
Oh, yeah, the parade's great.
All right. How many times have you been to the parade?
Dozens.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I bet you that'd be pretty good, eh?
Yeah.
You've been to the race at least once, right?
Yes.
And you live approximately 50 miles from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And you know what happens there on the Memorial Weekend every year on Memorial Weekend in May, right? It is the greatest spectacle in all of motor racing.
Yeah, you can't live around here and not know the answer to that.
Yeah, the greatest, because they'll have on a good year, they'll have up to 500,000 people there. It is the greatest spectacle in all of motor racing.
There's crazy stats for the track. Absolutely bonkers stuff at how large it is, how much you could fit inside its confines, and the number of people that fit in there. And it's impressive.
And, okay, Derek.
Yes, Lionel.
In your neck of the woods, what's the best sporting event you can go to in your neck of the woods?
The Iron Bowl.
The Iron Bowl?
Yeah.
What the heck is that?
Where is that?
Alabama versus Auburn.
And how far are you from there?
From Tuscaloosa, about 55 miles.
Okay. Have you been in Alabama now 10 years roughly?
I think we're going on like 12 now, actually.
Wow. Well, I think 12 would be roughly 10 years.
Oh, it's
Plus
over.
a little change.
Yeah. It's about 20% over.
Yeah, so it's roughly.
It includes gratuity. Yeah.
And now you're starting to sound like Kelly.
Never mind.
Well, if I drive over the mountains, it's a little bit shorter.
Have you ever been to the Iron Bowl?
I actually have not. I'd like to go one of these days.
Yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool. Auburn and who? To Alabama.
Alabama. Yeah.
Right. They do that every year.
Every year. It used to be played in Birmingham. The very first one was played in Birmingham, and they were played in Birmingham annually until it got so big that they wanted to host it in their home stadiums instead of at a neutral site here in Birmingham.
And does Birmingham still have the football stadium?
It does.
Oh, okay. And if you were going to choose another annual event, another great event not far from your home, it would be?
Probably Talladega is the next biggest one.
There you go. Twice a year, April and...
All I know is the weekend before, or the days before and the days after, the major interstates have RVs 5 wide, every single lane. And it's like, dear idiots, if you were driving an RV or a pull-behind trailer at least get out of the far left lane so that the normal vehicles can go 80, 85 miles an hour. Why are you driving 60 in all 5 lanes?
I got into the greatest argument, so we'll be with you in a minute there, Blair.
Oh, he must have eaten the shrimp. He's comatose.
That recliner in the green room is really, really comfortable. Smells bad, but it's comfortable.
So the best argument I ever got into with a government official was the Ontario Provincial Police, which is like as same as any state police, like, you know, Alabama State Police, South Carolina State Police, Indiana State Police. We have our Ontario Provincial Police, which is our version of state police. And as a government project was to move the main headquarters about 60 miles north of Toronto to the next town north of me. And the guy who is the police commissioner, albeit for a very short time, got on TV and started complaining about the people in the guardrail lane, in the far left lane, that they were driving too slow. But his version of too slow was the speed limit was 60, and his version of too slow was 75 miles an hour.
Sounds like my kind of law enforcement officer.
Just slower than him.
And
Yeah.
I just couldn't help it. I was in my late 30s, early 40s. I couldn't help it. Like, I get a hold of this guy, and I'm like, hey, buddy, like, I'm in driver education. You can't go on public media and tell everybody that 70 miles an hour is too slow. The speed limit is 60. That's what the speed limit is. You can't tell people that. We got in this great back and forth.
I guess it's the message he was probably trying to send was drive on the right side, pass on the left side.
Well,
Like,
sure,
don't
that
just
was the
drive.
message he was trying to send, but he was sending it with, you know, anybody that's only going 70 miles an hour. And it's like, no. That's because, like in Florida, between Daytona Beach and Orlando, if you're not going 80, 85 miles an hour in the far left lane, you're going to get run over.
Correct.
And it's like,
As it should be.
well, yeah, technically, but in my business, all I will ever say,
Can't say that.
all I ever say is that you should always observe the speed limit. Period. End of sentence.
And I always do. I observe it and know exactly what it is that I'm violating.
I would never say that I violate the speed limit. I always observe it.
You see, but in common law, if the law is not properly enforced, then the law does not have the moral authority to exist. And so if I could blow past a state trooper at 80 and they don't pull me over, that's in fact the law's legal permission to keep breaking the law.
Which leads me back to my story of one year riding out to Sturgis. I hook up with these guys and we're riding from Rapid City or Sioux City to Rapid City. It's 4 hours of nothingness, straight as an arrow. And I hook up with these 5 or 6 bikers and we're cruising over the speed limit considerably. I was observing the speed limit, but I was drafting and they were sucking me along. There was nothing I could do.
Gravity, man.
Yeah. And eventually they pull off and I go past these 2 officers doing about 93 miles an hour. And I'm thinking, oh, crap. You know, and I'm waiting to see them pull out with the cherries going and everything. And then the next thing I see is I pass a speed limit sign that said 80 miles an hour. And I'm thinking, oh, well, I'm barely over the speed limit. I guess that's why they don't bother. And it used to be no speed limits in South Dakota. Man, that was sweet.
Yes, that would be fun.
Yeah. You could, I think it's like 240 miles and guys would do it in like an hour and a half.
Beautiful.
But that's not why we're here. This is part 3 of the Blair Koostra photo trilogy. This is recording all of the news, all of his events on his 37-day road trip that he took back in when did you take this trip?
October. Last October.
October of 2025.
Yeah.
Just after you retired from the BNSF.
Month after I retired. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And we haven't talked about the BNSF because you prefer not to discuss the BNSF. Those are days gone by, but you were quite happy to talk about your road trip. So we thought, well, let's get him on the podcast. And we did 2 episodes, and we only got it like a month or a week into it. We still have like another 30 days worth of trip to cover. So this is part 3 of the Blair Koostra trilogy, which actually might turn out to be a 37-part trilogy.
Might really be that, right?
Yeah, he should have stopped. Well, he should have stopped at White Rose Hobbies in York, Pennsylvania. We'll ask him. You know what? As we're going along, when we get Blair into the studio, actually, he's standing there now over there. We'll ask him if he ever went to York, Pennsylvania.
I know he's just looking in the window. Like it's unsettling.
Yes, it is. Come on into the studio, Blair.
Good day.
Good day, eh? Good day, eh? The McKenzie brothers. Good day, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You hoser.
Yeah. Beer nog. Hey, like if you want to get a free case of beer at the beer store, like you take a mouse and take an empty bottle and stick a mouse in the bottle and put the cap back on, glue it back on, and then go in and say, hey man, like there's a mouse in my beer.
I think since I was on this last, we lost Catherine O'Hara.
Yes, we have lost Catherine O'Hara.
Moment of silence for her as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So you lost Joe Flaherty and now Catherine O'Hara.
And she was, I think her, well, she was on Schitt's Creek, but for those recently. And then the other movie she was, one of the main movies she was in was Home Alone.
Yep.
And that scene is very popular where she's on the plane and she goes, Kevin. Have Mark, or what's that guy's name? Derek.
We were talking movies. It was obvious who you were referring to. Who's about to get pounced?
Of course, I've seen Home Alone.
Oh, okay.
Come on.
Well, it's a pretty old movie too.
Yeah, but never mind.
It's a classic.
There's nothing I could say here that would not end in tears.
Oh no, yeah, it's for you, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so the last picture we really covered in depth was the South Shore line going past Beverly Shores. To me, it looked like an O-scale model railroad. It was such a cool picture. The lighting was spectacular. This trip started in Texas, wound its way through Arkansas, and then you got into Chicago and the Metro.
No, I avoided did I do Arkansas? No, I think I mostly avoided Arkansas. I went up to Iowa.
But you took a picture of an Arkansas train, didn't you?
Let's see. Oh, in Oklahoma. Yeah, Arkansas and Oklahoma route.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, so I was half right. And then there was these spectacular pictures in Gary, Indiana of the your drone pictures are spectacular.
Thank you.
And so then we moved on to the South Shore line, the Beverly Shores. So now we're going to talk about, and is there anything, have you had any more, since the last time we chatted a month and a half ago, have you had any input from people who have seen your photos?
Not so much. I've taken another trip. I was gone for 2 weeks to Pennsylvania in February.
Yes, we know. Yeah, and we're going to be talking about that in the future.
Okay.
Too.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in March of 2027.
Oh wow. Yeah.
It's going to take us that long to get through the October trip.
That's true. You're optimistic at that.
Well, yeah. And exactly, it's going to take a while. And then we got to get to the Pennsylvania trip and all your other pictures. Work. That's all we ever do.
Yep.
Okay. So then you stopped at a layout.
Yes, I went up to Grand Rapids and I had gotten in touch with fellow Milwaukee Road modeler Bill Hayden, who models the Milwaukee Road over St. Paul Pass, the Idaho-Montana border over the Rockies. It's just spectacular. Just amazing railroad.
It looks like it might be one of those basement full layouts. Like it looks like it's a pretty big layout.
It is, and it winds all around the basement. The single deck, but that's mainly because some of the scenes are so tall because of the bridges he models. He must have, 17 big bridges on that railroad.
I'm going to backtrack for a minute. So 17 bridges. So, and you said he's not necessarily a social media guy. He kind of keeps to himself, you said. But how long do you think he's been? What's the actual name of the layout?
Did not see a name. Milwaukee Road, St. Paul Pass, I think would get you there.
And how did you know him? How did you know of him?
Just through seeing his pictures online. His son has shot a lot of videos of the layout, and when Scale Trains brought out their SDL-39, he was involved in showing the models off on his layout. There's several instances where they put a little promo out on this locomotive going over the railroad.
And what was the name of the railroad again?
Milwaukee Road, St. Paul Pass. I just call it. You can call it the Bitterroot Mountain.
Well, I'm just looking on Google. I'm looking for Google for people so they can find it. Maybe Milwaukee Road, St. Paul Pass. All right, let's see if that brings up anything. Model. I'll put in the word model.
Model.
Railroad. Let's see what happens. The Milwaukee Road link? No.
Or for those viewers at home, you can check out Blair's Flickr for a couple pictures of the layout as well.
That might be helpful if you could put the links out either to the Facebook page or the Flickr page, and people can follow along at home.
Yeah, we're very good at that.
Yeah, evidently.
We're
By
organized.
the 10th or 11th episode, we'll be right on that.
Yeah, exactly. What was the fella's name?
Bill Hayden, Heiden. Did you find it? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, there's a Facebook page for it. Bill Hayden's Milwaukee Road layout.
Okay.
Oh, and he's got 5,000 followers, and he posted just a few days ago. So he looks like he's active on his. I'm convinced that I was saying this to to Derek and somebody else. I'm convinced that had Facebook and social media been a thing before I started tearing down my layout, I don't believe I would have torn it down, because I could have constantly been posting pictures about it. So yeah, okay. So there's.
But if there was a Facebook and social media at the time you were building it, it never would have gotten built.
Also true.
That's another problem for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if I had done the timing just right, because the layout was probably 70% finished. So if just when I was thinking about tearing it down, social media had come out, I probably wouldn't have torn it down. I probably would have. It's probably would still exist. I'm a little lately. I've been a little disappointed that I did take it down, but that's just the way life goes.
I'm trying to get you to channel that energy into building a new one.
Yeah, sure. Build another 20 by 30 foot layout. When you're
got time on your hands.
When your age is somewhere between 50 and 100.
Just because you have this space doesn't mean you have to use it all.
That's true. That's true. There's more to it than that. And
wow, look at this. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Look at the next photo on his Flickr of some Genesee, Wyoming SD. It looks like SD40s going through apple orchards in the fall.
Yeah, who knew?
Gorgeous picture.
Who knew?
It is. All that bright sky and yeah.
So this is a slice of America right here.
Well, that's what we've talked about before.
I had no idea there were such apple orchards. And my father was born in Grand Rapids. He spent all his time there before World War II. So,
what's the picture you're looking at, Derek?
The very next one on his Flickr after Bill Hayden's layout. It's Marquette Rail climbing the hill out of Bailey, Michigan.
I will point out that second picture of Bill's layout. I couldn't go to that layout.
Yeah, that's not an aisle. That's an air gap.
Yeah. Right?
I couldn't name a single model railroader who's fitting through there. For those at home, it's about a 10-inch gap between the layouts.
Where are you seeing that?
Okay, so did you catch up on the Flickr page? Did you get to the steel mill photos? Then there's the hot metal cars.
Right.
And then there's the first one of Bill's. That's the trains going over the tall trestle.
See, I think I'm on a different Flickr page.
I'm going to send you a link directly to the one I'm looking at.
Yeah, I think you might have to constantly do that, because what I'm looking at, I see some pictures. Let's see here. I'm looking at the Iowa traction. Then
Yeah,
I'm,
you're way too high up.
Yeah.
We're about a third of the way down the page.
okay, but I get down there. Then there's Metra. Which way do the
going.
pictures go? And then I see that from Bill's layout. I see the picture of the freighter.
Yeah, the 3 Milwaukee locomotives going over the bridge. Oh no, you're not far enough.
Well, now I'm looking at the South Shore. I only see 3 pictures of the layout.
Go 3 more pictures down. No, 4 more pictures down. Keep scrolling.
All right. Keep going.
Are you looking at the Flickr or the
Flickr.
Facebook?
No, I'm looking at Flickr. Okay, now I found the 3 Milwaukee locomotives going over the bridge.
Beautiful. The very next one is
yeah. Wow. Okay.
narrow pass.
Yeah. How narrow is that pass there, Blair?
I squeezed through it.
Okay, that's just bragging.
So
Right. We're done. We're done, Blair.
Not too narrow. Pretty narrow, but not narrow enough.
That's what you could refer to as a choke point.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is
And then the very next photo is the apple orchards.
Okay. All right. And where is that? Where is it? So, okay, we're leaving Bill High. Somebody has to be the guide for this. And, Marcus spends his time, makes his living as a guide, a lot of the time as a guide at the North Carolina Transportation Museum.
I will throw another distraction in. If you were to go back to my list of albums on Flickr, right? There is an album with 22 photos just of Bill's layout in there.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
I'll go, let's see.
just giving you a taste on this Flickr.
Winter in
album.
Pennsylvania, CM&E, 1981. 37, let's see, Norfolk Southern, October 25, Buckingham Branch, South Branch Valley, Western Maryland. I'm looking.
Basically, if you want to go down a rabbit hole, just find Blair's Flickr pages.
Well, sure, but I'm not seeing this this page. Oh, wait a minute, I found it. Bill Hayden's Milwaukee Road Spectacular Model Railroad, 22 photos.
There you are.
All right. So what day would this have been on the 37-day epic journey?
That was October 6th. So, no, that was October 6th, I believe. October 5th. So.
Okay. But you only knew of Bill from social media, seen him, following him online, those kinds of things.
Correct. Yeah, never met him before.
So, okay. So for people who might like to meet other model railroaders, not necessarily Bill, how did you approach this? Did you just send him a message on his Facebook page? Like, how did you...
We were Facebook friends, both being Milwaukee modelers, and he was aware of my Milwaukee photography, and we traded messages over the years.
Okay. So then
He said if I had a big enough room, he would threaten to build me a 2-scale version of the Milwaukee Road Bridge over the Columbia River at Beverly, Washington, which would be about 30-some feet long.
That would be big.
That would be big.
That reminds me, we got to talk to Peter Borchert again about his project to build. He was going to build an HO scale diorama of some gigantic bridge in South Africa. We got to stop this podcast. It's just
That's what people have been saying. I'm not sure if they agree with the reasoning, but
were they under the layout when they said it?
Oh, see, that's something else we have to edit out now.
Yeah, we'll get right on that.
Yeah, right.
And if Daniel, if you wanted to purchase one of some HO scale equipment for your model railroad or N scale, where might you go?
Well, I would drive just down the road from the Ben Franklin RV Park and go to White Rose Hobbies
in York, Pennsylvania.
Yes,
4401 Market Street.
Oh, I would see. I'm glad you said it. I would have been wrong. I was going to say 1401.
No, 4401. But I have not yet memorized the phone number, so I'd have to look that up. But I would think it's best to just go to their website, whiterosehobbies.com.
Central Pennsylvania's premier hobby destination.
Yeah, Central Pennsylvania's premier. It is Central Pennsylvania's premier. It's probably one of the best hobby shops within 100 miles.
Maybe one of the country's best hobby
I would think so. I think it's got to easily be in the top 10.
I would think so.
And we could work that number down, I'm sure.
Between them and Stephen Atwell, they'll have the whole business consolidated.
That's true, you know. Maybe we could get these guys to come to some sort of agreement that Stephen takes everything west of the Mississippi and Ryan and Tom take everything east of the Mississippi.
I mean, I think we just solved it.
I think we have.
Well, except we have to make sure Lauren's taken care of north of the border too.
Well, yeah, he can have Canada.
Yeah. I think this is like the Potsdam Conference.
I think only one of them sells beef jerky, though.
Well, only one of them sells jelly beans.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's whiteRoseHobbies.com. Tell them Lionel sent you. Ask for Tom or Ryan. Tell them Lionel sent you. And don't forget, while you're there, you're just down the road from the Ben Franklin RV Park. We'll mention them again. But Blair, don't I remember that years and years ago you were modeling Australia?
I was, correct, yes.
And why did we stop doing that?
Just an itch to do something more rooted in my own personal memories.
Okay.
So we moved it back to the U.S., moved across the ocean.
Because you made that spectacular video about the Milwaukee Road and its last days in the West. Is there a link to that here somewhere?
Not anymore. My link has expired because I didn't want to have the gun held to my head to pay for the space on the Vimeo website any further. It just, for the price I was spending every year, it wasn't worth it. So I've got to find a new place for it.
I wonder if we could load it up to our website. Would you like to see if we can load it up to the AML website?
Give it a try.
All right. Give it a shot. See what happens.
We'll get right on that. I hope it works better than our store.
Well, our store guy. You know what? The guy that sends out the shirts is useless, and the guy that runs the store is just as useless.
Yeah, I would go with Plan B. I would not, write that out.
Okay, so let's get back to we got to find a place for that video. You cannot hide that video. That is one of the best videos of all time. It's so professionally done. So well done. People need to be able to see that video. I mean, I've watched it a half a dozen times, I'm sure, over the years.
Oh, it's just incredible. Yeah.
Did you watch it after
Of course. Yes.
Okay.
It was great. Your review of it's exactly like it's journalism quality was exactly right. And it really captures the emotions, I think, of a railroad with pride, but also like the sadness of change and an expiration looming in the future. It sort of really, it moves you beyond just train.
Yeah, Blair, we cannot let that just sit on a shelf somewhere. That has to be available to people to see because it is incredibly well done. As so much of your work is incredibly well done. But
speaking of well done, the very next picture on his Flickr page is just incredible too. To Great Lakes Central.
Well, now we're still at the apple orchard.
Oh, we are?
Yeah,
okay,
we never even talked about. We didn't even talk about it yet.
I'm guiding us too quickly. Sorry.
Yes, we got to have a That's why it's going to be a 37-part trilogy.
We're going to go one day at a time.
Yeah. Well, is there anything wrong with that? It sounds interesting.
Not at all. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's all interesting. So, okay, where's this? This is a Genesee and Wyoming railroad of some sort.
Right, and I don't know the history of this line off the top of my head. I think it's a former Pere Marquette line.
Do you know what it's called now?
Marquette Rail. So I believe they run between Grand Rapids and Marquette.
Marquette Rail Services runs 135 miles in 135 miles in Michigan from Grand Rapids north through White Cloud, Baldwin. There's another Newaygo, Baldwin, Walhalla, and Manistee on the lake, and Ludington on the lake.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they go to Ludington, the home of the Badger, the ferry boat.
Yes, exactly. Have you ever taken pictures of it?
Yeah, I rode it. Had a family vacation several years ago. We went. Where'd we go? We went to Milwaukee and drove around the lake. Visited my old hometown where I was born in Homewood, Illinois. actually Park Forest, and then went up to Detroit and saw where my dad got his start for Park Davis Pharmaceutical. Went over to Grand Rapids, went out to Ludington, and rode the ferry back across the lake, and then went out to Oshkosh for the air show.
Wow.
Yeah.
I bet you took a lot of great pictures at Oshkosh.
Oh yeah, it was intense.
What do you think? What do you think was like? You've been a photography guy as long as you've been a model railroad guy. Do you have any recollection of what spurred you on to be a fan of photography or to get so involved in photography?
I must be somewhere on the autism scale because a lot of model railroaders are, and I probably fit somewhere on there back before it was probably diagnosed. And I think being able to take photographs as a way to get involved, but not too involved in things, as opposed to talking about things or writing about things, I was able to participate by observing and recording. I think that had something to do with it. My dad was a amateur photographer as well.
And do you remember the first picture you had published?
Like in a railroad magazine, because I was doing.
Well, yeah, you were a photojournalist. Photojournalist, yeah. But I mean, yeah. Well, there you go. In a railroad magazine, a significant, a legitimate railroad magazine. You took a legitimate railroad picture, and it was published in a legitimate railroad magazine.
It was either probably a picture in Salt Lake City from 1975 in Pacific News magazine, which became Pacific Rail News, which eventually got rolled into the White River list of magazines of a Union Pacific director's special at night. Or it was a photograph also from Salt Lake City of the Salt Lake, Garfield, and Western. It was just a little tiny picture. And it accompanied a letter to the editor I wrote to Trains Magazine, and that was probably in summer of 1976 sometime.
And you would have been how old?
16.
So let me ask you this question. I had the opportunity to meet Rod Stewart twice through Model Railroader magazine.
3 times a lady.
Yeah, there you go. If you think I'm sexy.
What now?
Rod Stewart.
Oh no!
If you think
It's like Back to the Future. It's probably just best to leave it alone.
I didn't want to hear my headset.
Says the guy that's watching reruns of what's it called?
Are you gonna bash my Veep reruns? Come on.
No. Anyways, the show that's that all the girls love. Oh, Heated Rivalry.
Oh, I love Heated Rivalry.
Yeah,
fantastic show.
You quit admitting to that in public, would you?
Stop. I tell everybody I know it's a great show.
Yeah, well, there you go. Whereabouts is this apple orchard?
It's near Bailey, Michigan.
Okay.
It's, I don't know, 15 miles north of Grand Rapids, maybe 20 miles north. And I got word that the train would be tied down north of there, and they recrew it. They run it down from Marquette and tie it down, and then they run a new crew to come get it and take it into Grand Rapids and deliver it to all their interchange partners and then go back. So I got word that if you got up to where they tied the train down, you got up there around sunrise, you'd probably run into the crew getting ready. And by the time I finally blundered into the train tied down, a little bit further away from where I was told it would be, new crew was getting on and the sun was just coming up. So it worked out okay.
Is this like the next day after you visited with Bill? Correct.
Yeah, this is the next morning.
Okay. And he is located in Michigan, or is he located in Indiana, in Illinois?
Dorr, D-O-R-R, Michigan. It's like a little farming suburb about 10 miles south of Grand Rapids.
Okay. And of course, Grand Rapids is home of one of the very more famous model railroaders, Bruce Chubb.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, so let's get back. Okay, which picture are we going to look at next, Mark or Derek?
The very next one in sequence of the Great Lakes Central departing Clare, Michigan, with a puff of smoke. And this is another great picture.
This is the same morning. I was in touch with my friend Jeff Mast, who lives over near Lansing, near Detroit, Lansing, that area. And Jeff's a very well-known Michigan rail photographer and boat photographer, lake boat photographer. He does a lot of volunteer work on the Steam Railroading Institute. And he's a bit of a model railroader too. So we made plans to get together and meet up out here at Clare, where the Great Lakes Central would also be tied down. And they also were getting a recrew to run the train down to Owasso.
What is the Steam Railroading Institute?
Those are the 1225 people.
The who?
The 1225.
The Pierre Marquette 1225.
Oh.
And
Okay.
where is it located?
Owasso.
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 And Owasso is...
It's also shares the facility with the Great Lakes Central, which is kind of their operating headquarters as well.
Owasso is halfway between Lansing and Flint. Just north of Interstate 69.
There you are.
The Steam Railroading Institute. Marcus?
Yes,
Anything?
I am aware of them. Yes,
And
the Pierre Marquette 1225 is the locomotive that inspired the Polar Express.
Polar Express. Yeah,
that was the locomotive that was used for animation in the Polar Express.
And how do we know this?
he's a sentient human being.
No, yeah, but I mean, so these guys, the Steam Railroading Institute, see, like you're worried, Derek, that this is going to take a long time. Like, why wouldn't it? Like we've both discovered, Daniel.
Yes.
There seems to be a lot of in this podcast. There's a lot of me going, and then I pick a name. So Daniel, have you ever heard of the Steam Railroading Institute?
I had not.
So there's 3 out of the 5 of us who had never even heard of it.
So you got the 1225, which was preserved at the college or the university at Lansing, and around 1970, a bunch of students got together and decided, hey, let's restore this thing. So they worked on it, and finally, after 15 years of work, they got it running. But it needed to go somewhere. So the Steam Railroading Institute was created to find a home for this locomotive, to acquire equipment to run it with, and also to generate some revenue by leasing out their passenger equipment to excursion operations to help raise money to keep the 1225 running.
So the question you got to ask yourself is: here's a steam locomotive that has that found a home in Owasso, became the Steam Railroading Institute. Why would Hollywood decide that this was the steam locomotive they were going to use for the Polar Express?
Well, I think its number of 1225 corresponding with Christmas.
Yeah, that
December
certainly
25th.
won't
Had a lot
hurt
to do
any.
with it.
I knew that.
That's once you see it, you can't not see it.
Right.
Yeah, but how would these guys even know about it?
Well, they have production people who are keen on this stuff.
Yeah, I guess.
Yep, that's their job, is to know everything everywhere that they could use.
And probably the Steam Railroading Institute was pretty cut in to these production companies and could offer their services. Like right now, you have this the group that Kelly Lynch is with the Nickel Plate Burke. They're doing the same kind of thing. They do spend a lot of effort on working with production companies, getting the word out there in the movie and television production world that they have a locomotive that they're glad to do whatever you need if you want to lease it, and they'll provide the expertise on it.
That's a smart way to go too, because when you make some nice bank from a movie production or whatever, that makes the fundraising for the next tear down and rebuild a lot easier to achieve. Because those aren't cheap.
After Pierre Marquette's 1225 retirement, the locomotive was donated to the Michigan State University in 1957 by Chesapeake and Ohio. with the help of Forest Acres Dodge Motor Company's vice president, an MSU trustee. Displayed as an icon of steam era, it sat at MSU until 1969 when a group of students took an interest in the locomotive. Michigan State University Railroad Club was formed at that time with the ambitious goal of restoring 1225 and using it to power excursion trains that would bring passengers to football games at the university. After toiling away at the locomotive for many years, Michigan State University evolved and Michigan State Trust for the Railway Preservation Incorporated and started its core. Recognizing the daunting task that was ahead of them, the early MSU students saw the necessity to form a 501 nonprofit, and Michigan State University donated to the newly formed club, and restoration continued until 1985 when it would moved under its own power for the first time in 34 years to the railroad Ann Arbor Railroad steam back shop in Owasso. Wow!
I did dumb stuff in college.
This doesn't seem like it was dumb stuff. Wow.
It's impressive.
Like, this is the part, Marcus, that just blows me away. We've had this discussion before. Like, railroading is such historic railroading, interest in trains. I love it when they talk about the hobbies dying. The hobby's only going to get bigger and bigger because, look at this, 3 out of 5 people have now discovered this whole thing. And it was the train that, inspired the Polar Express. And Blair, you're a well-traveled man. You're a man of the world. You're a seasoned veteran of humanity. Could I say that?
Oh, the humanity. Sure.
Yeah. Don't you think that the Polar Express would draw a bigger crowd if at some point what are you laughing at?
No, nothing.
I have a feeling I know where this is going, and I can't wait.
Oh, great! If you're just going to laugh at my ideas, that's how kids in our education system today don't get ahead because you laugh.
I'm laughing with you, not at you.
That's not supposed to be funny. This is a way to draw more people. Anyways, if they actually had a polar bear on the Polar Express.
You remind me of Fred Willard in Best of Show, where he's the color commentator at a dog show that's being televised, and he suggests that the hound dogs would be it would be kind of funny to watch the hound dogs if they all had Sherlock Holmes hats and had pipes in their mouth,
or Elvis glasses.
That'd work.
And taking care of business necklaces.
In Australia, they have an annual Elvis Presley Day out in this outlying town, and they have trainloads of people and busloads of people all coming into the big Elvis festival. So, it's you wouldn't think Parkes, New South Wales, Australia would be a hotbed of Elvis worship, but there it is. So if you market it, people will come.
Well, at one
right, Marcus?
That's right.
That's right. There you go. Yeah. Well, and at one time, recently we were doing a podcast. I think it's been come and gone by now, and we were talking about streamliners at Spencer. Did you go and photograph either when all the heritage locomotives were there in 2012 or the streamliners at Spencer in 2014? Did you go to either of those events?
First place I met Marcus. Yeah, I had this hair up my butt that on the day that this was about to start, that I said, this is a pretty cool thing going on. I should really fly out there. I should use my American Airlines miles back when they were worth something, and just take a flight to go out to Spencer, to Charlotte, and then drive up to Spencer for this thing. And it was great. It was, just kind of a spur of the moment thing, and it was phenomenal. So
did you do the streamliners or the heritage unit?
I did the streamliners.
Okay. You must have a ton of those photos.
On the Flickr page, just by coincidence, there's a thing about Spencer, the streamliners. Spencer,
I feel we need to pause here and put out a corporate statement for the AML. If you go to this Flickr page, we are not responsible for the days of your life that will be lost looking through all of these photos.
Yeah, because it's like 40 years of great stuff.
It's absolutely crazy how much stuff is here.
Well, I will say this, looking through what I have posted up there, and I don't mean to boast about this, but I don't think there are very many pictures posted up there that are dogs. I think every one of them has some compelling compositional or historical reason for existing, not just a bunch of roster shots on cloudy days.
So let me ask you this: for these are the kind of questions I love to ask. These questions are just drive me nuts. I love asking these kind of questions. Except let's not go back over that time I asked Kelly Earnhardt what it was like to have her dad as Dale Earnhardt. That was like the stupidest question I ever asked anybody in my life. When did you feel like, because like you say, your pictures are excellent and this is, I'm the one that's been boasting about your stuff. Do you remember when you started thinking to yourself, hey, I'm pretty good at this?
Probably the second day I picked up a camera, but I didn't know anything. So
okay.
I had a lot more opinion of my own work than I really should have for a long time. And such precociousness was probably annoying to a lot of people. And I can admit, I'll agree to that.
But some people have a knack for framing. Like my wife takes spectacular photos with her iPhone. Her and I can stand side by side, take the same photo. Hers is 10 times better than mine. It's just the framing, the composition. Somehow people like you have a knack for the composition and everything, because I guess my wife takes some fabulous pictures with her iPhone that I'm like, oh, can I have that one? Oh, can I have that one? And it's like, it's something, somehow it's like, it's an artistic thing. It's an artistic adventure being this good at photography. It's a gift. It's a gift.
There's probably some people that are born with it and that can compose and know how to put together an interesting photograph. There's probably a percentage that can learn over time.
And there's a percentage that definitely can't.
And there's a percentage that don't have a clue. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you have to actually take a picture to find out you can't do it.
Well, no, it's just at a certain point you have enough negative reinforcement that you realize, I'm going to pass.
Yeah. Put that camera away.
Yeah,
I'm going to let somebody else take a picture of this. I'll make a mental note.
Yeah, I'll just look at Blair stuff.
We're jumping all over the albums, but I just clicked back and I found an album here of Durango, Colorado, August 1976. And I clicked on these pictures, and I'm like, and you were 16 at the time.
16, yeah. My dad, his job, he covered western Colorado and eastern Utah and New Mexico, and he took me along one week on a business trip. And he was driving, so I rode with him, and he dropped me off one day in Durango and said, "See you at the end of the day, son." And he went out to do his work, and I rode the Durango and Silverton. But he also took me down to the shops the night before and let me stumble around and take night shots. And he's very accommodating for that. So
here's you at 16 years old taking these awesome pictures of not the Durango and Silverton, but the Rio Grande, right? It's still
when it was still in the timetable on the Rio Grande. Yeah, these were Rio Grande employees.
So here's one. I'm also jumping around now, but I'm in the BC Rail 1981 album. I'm just scrolling through the pictures and locomotives, beautiful scenery. And then I stumbled on this picture that kind of took my breath away. It's two train crew members on a moving train, standing at the end of the platform. Looks like maybe a C4, 24, 25, something like that. And there's one train crew member, holding on to the handrail and just sort of smiling, looking off into the distance, holding the train order. And then there's another guy in overalls taking his hat, giving you hats off to you with a smile on his face.
Switch crew,
yeah. This is just a piece of humanity captured, almost 50 years later. It's striking, the people on the railroad and them sort of reaching out to you, and you're seeing history not just of the world but of civilization.
We've had that conversation before, though. The beauty of rail fan photography is it's not just capturing trains; it's capturing history.
Yeah,
that's the big thing, is it's capturing history.
Everything's a fleeting moment, and if you don't, we all miss a lot of pictures. Like they say, you fail 100% of the time of the pictures that you don't take. So, but that was just one of these things. I'm just photographing this RS3, this switch crew. And the guy tips his hat to me, and for whatever reason, I just said, "Oh, that's a picture." And this was not in the digital era either. It was 36 frames on a roll of film, and you only maybe went on vacation for a week up in Canada, and you maybe took 20 rolls of film. So you had to be more selective in what you shot.
I feel like I'm staring into his soul.
So where's this?
Impressive.
Which album is this in?
This is in the BC Rail. I'll send you a link to it.
Sure, send me a link. I can use another link.
You got plenty of links, yeah.
You can't have too many links.
In an effort to get us back on the correct trip for the podcast, I will throw out there. Right? I will throw out there that this crossing at Clare, this is absolutely quintessential rail crossing the road in the Midwest part of this country. There are thousands of crossings identical to that across tons of roads where you have this house, this hay barn here is fantastic, huge gambrel roof on it, and then you have the agriculture around, and man, it's flat.
It is.
You've got the ditch, you've got the culvert. Like, this is a master class of, if you want to nail what it's like to be in the Midwest, that's where you're modeling. This is a fantastic photo.
It's like Pelle Solborg did it, right? It's like
exactly
got the scene, and the tracks aren't running parallel to the front of the benchwork; they're at an angle, right?
Yep. Well, and the next few are all this same railroad, which I love their logo. So New York Central, just done in Great Lakes instead.
Yeah, it is a cool logo.
Well, you know, the phrase that photographer Mike Schaefer coined was "everything turns to," we'll just say poop. Everything turns to poop. The abbreviation ETTS. This is an instance in which this railroad, this Great Lakes Central, just got purchased by who is it? Wamex. Watco. Yeah. So this is all on the verge of changing one way or the other. In fact, the whole few days I was together with Jeff, he was just telling me that they have new locomotives showing up that Watco's bringing on, UPSD 60Ms. You know, now the scourge of leased or secondhand locomotive fleets are starting to show up everywhere. So the time was supposedly and still might be over, but I think they're still running these locomotives of the wonder of the Great Lakes Central, where you had these SD35s, which show in one of the photos the locomotive with the Great Lakes Central, a la New York Central nose herald. There's a pair of SD35s, and those are pretty rare. There aren't many places where SD35s are being used. And then you have this fleet of GP35s, which curiously were delivered to the Ann Arbor in 1964 and have spent their entire career working on this former piece of rock of Ann Arbor Railroad in Michigan for 4 different owners, for 4 different railroads that have come and gone. And they're still working today on the Great Lakes Central.
Well, this is really typical of this whole region of, you have these elevators, you know, rich agriculture area, a lot of beans and wheat and corn to haul. And a lot of times these granaries, the grain companies will own an old locomotive. I mean, I've got 3 around me within 30 miles that are all using old 60s era locomotives as their prime mover for the grain. They haul it up to the main NS or CSX line and leave it, and they grab it as they come by. But so many old fantastic locos hanging around that way.
Well, this almost became this week on the trip, once I left Chicago and went across Michigan and Ohio, really became the week of the old EMD, because I was shooting ST35s and GP35s, not only in the Great Lakes Central, but we went down to the Wheeling and Lake Erie, which for a long time, I'm amazed that railroad's been around almost 25 years, I believe. Their fleet early on was built with a bunch of GP35s, high-nose GP35s, ex-Southern, with the Alco trucks, and those things are still running around all over on the Wheeling Lake Erie. So, I could have gone and seen the modern CSX or the modern NS, but nah, I'm an old man. I want to go see old locomotives that I remember.
Well, it's kind kind of a golden age of rail fanning, really, with all these small railroads that are keeping these locomotives alive.
And the ownership or the management is not afraid to honor the heritage of the rail lines that they operate on. I mean,
Yeah.
here's the New York Central logo, the cigar band logo on these locomotives. Well, that's not former New York Central territory, but they honored the New York Central's heritage in Michigan by adopting this logo. And I don't know if the logo is going to survive Watco or not. We'll have to see. But for this period of time, this is, like you said, kind of a golden age.
Well, I don't know if you know, Derek, but your favorite railroad, the Delaware Lackawanna, they use the paint scheme of the Erie Lackawanna.
They have some Delaware Lackawanna, Delaware and Hudson. They have some C&J. They have some Lehigh Valley paint. I'm looking at an album right now of a Pennsylvania trip you did.
No, don't do that. No, that was like,
I want to know. I want to know
30s.
how.
No, that's after the. We're gonna have another. We're
so
gonna have
hard.
Chops. How did you pull that off?
that'll be another whole show. Come on, that's after the 30s.
Well, you could frame the question in terms of what I was doing on this month-long trip, and we could get to it that way.
Now I gave it away. I showed my cards.
Yeah, if I had done, Derek, if I had done that, you'd be just rolling your eyes in the back of your head, going, "Wow, you're getting off track," and blah blah blah.
Right. I worked so hard to get us back in Michigan.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Daniel.
Well, Daniel can keep us. He can be the referee for once.
Daniel's a lot better at being a suck up than you.
I only suck up to the guests, not to you.
That's a learned skill. When I was in my late 30s, at first I used to think with having a business of employees, I just happened to catch a break. And then I realized some employees were excellent suck ups, and I was okay with it.
Although, if you were in Pennsylvania, where would be some place you could go?
No, we're still on it.
Back to Michigan.
Great Lakes Central, 386.28 miles of track. Track capacity, 286K. I'm guessing that means 286,000 what?
Yeah, modern covered hoppers. Covered hoppers. Yeah.
Gray.
Pellet hoppers.
Probably gray, yeah. With graffiti.
Well, they don't own that many, do they? There's Anyways, this is a long railroad. This is a long railroad. It goes pretty much the full length of Michigan.
It's a big railroad, and then there's another one. There's another, and also somebody can help me out with that one that runs on the eastern part of the state, and that one's running with modern power now. But they have some ST70Ms and very sharp paint scheme, and that's worth your time to see as well. We couldn't do it all in just a couple days, so went after these GP35s and ST35s.
That's the Lake State Railways.
The Lake State, that's it. Lake State, yeah.
So how many days did you spend on Great Lakes Central?
I think 2 days. We chased the train back to Owasso the first day, and then we got up on a miserable, wet, rainy day. One of those days you want to sleep in, but then the same power that we photographed coming down the ST30 and the two ST35s were taking the train from Owasso down to Ann Arbor. Where they would interchange with the Watco railroad, the railroad named the Ann Arbor, that ran from, I believe, Toledo up to Ann Arbor.
You'll have to pardon me. I'm not necessarily a well-traveled man or necessarily a well-educated man. Are there certain days that you don't want to sleep in?
No, I love to sleep. One of my favorite hobbies.
Like, what day don't you want to sleep in? Rain, no rain, I don't care. I want to sleep in.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it. We've run out of time. How many days did we cover? 3, maybe?
Oh,
yeah. Hey, I was going to ask, though, Lionel, along with, being in Pennsylvania, someplace you might go, but we could pull it back to this Michigan here. If you were going to do some modeling of this landscape, where would be a really good place to get your supplies?
Oh, well, if I was going to model Indiana, Central Michigan, those kind of places, I would go to whiterosehobbies.com. And because they have everything you need. That's 2 boys over there, Ryan and Tom, are running this business. They're young fellas. They're got their fingers on the pulse of the hobby. And you just go over. Actually, you know what? If you go to whiterosehobbies.com, or if you call them, just tell them Lionel sent you. I'm not sure if that'll help, but tell them Lionel sent you anyways. And they are at 4401 Market Street in York, Pennsylvania, just down the road from
The
The
Ben Franklin RV.
Park.
There you go.
Yep.
All right, that's it. We're done with this one. And then when we come back on our next one, we're gonna talk about. We're gonna move on to Cleveland. That one looks pretty good too. All right, Marcus, can you give out our email address?
Sure. If you'd like to reach us by email, you can do it by sending us an email at modellerslife@gmail.com. That's modelers with one L like Marquette Rail, not two L's like Great Lakes Central.
And if somebody wanted to find, well, you know what, we'll try to put in a link to the Flickr albums, and just so that all the albums are there for people to peruse, and then send in emails about the photos that Blair has and any questions you have, and then we'll get Blair on to answer the questions.
That would be an excellent viewer mail / road trip episode.
Well, just having you guys look at the pictures, it seems like generating enough chatter. And if you didn't catch that email address, wow, even this, I'm looking at this Great Lakes Central photo from mushing through the swamps. And this particular locomotive has leaves on it. It's a fall shot. And there's a bunch, 386 has a bunch of leaves on the running board. And these are really good photos. Just how do you how do you decide on a location?
Well, I was being led across Michigan by Jeff Mast. He was. We decided to team up, and he wanted to get over to Pittsburgh and then go east from there. So we just decided, let's just take a couple vehicles, and I'll just follow you. And I can tell you, it's kind of nerve-wracking navigating via iPhone in the back roads and communicating either through messages or quick phone calls on where we're going next. But Jeff knows the territory, and that makes all the difference in the world.
I never see the guy that's hooked up with the Railroad Institute or whatever.
Correct. Yeah, correct.
The Steam Railroading Institute. Hey, you know what we should do, Derek?
What's that?
Add Jeff to the list. The Steam Railroading Institute.
The Steam Railroading Institute.
Yeah, we got to investigate more about that. This was the locomotive that inspired the Polar Express. That would be very interesting to talk about. Don't you think so, Marcus?
I do.
Yeah.
I've added them to our list.
That's amazing, though. There's 5 of us, 6 of us here. 5 of us, 6 of us. And only half of the room knew of this Steam Railroading Institute. And it seems like it's a very much of a going concern. Very much of a going concern. Wow.
I would imagine if you lived in central Michigan and you mentioned Polar Express, people would know exactly what you're talking about. Because they run these trips every year. And they do good business on that.
Everybody runs these trips every year. It seems like do very good business. What a job for a bunch of students to restore this locomotive. Oh, my goodness gracious.
Well, can you imagine it being 1969, a bunch of long-haired hippie types?
Yeah.
And can you imagine what the university thought? It's like, you want to do what?
Yeah.
Go ahead. What are you guys smoking? Go ahead.
Yeah.
And then when they got this thing restored, then the problem, you can read a book about it. This book about the 1225 was they had this locomotive restored, and now the university really didn't want it on the property anymore.
Well, and it's easily 20 years before easy access to the internet. Right. So I mean, you're doing it without easy access to information, and they're doing this, and to imagine, and the fact that they did it, that's the key, because so many. I'm sure, Marcus, you've met many people that are telling you grand plans about they're going to restore X or Y, and it never happens. It's like blogs.
Yeah, there are a lot of dreams out there to do a lot of things, and unfortunately, not a lot of money sometimes to do those things. So
money. It's all money.
Yeah. It's all money. All right. So,
right. Can you imagine the amount of beer money from the college students that went into starting that locomotive? That's dedication.
Yeah.
And who was the guy that thought it was just going to be mostly about drinking beer, and then they actually did restore the locomotive?
Yeah.
Right.
So if you didn't catch our email address, you can go to our website, amodellerslife.com, and there's a widget there, and all you do is just fill out your information, your text, and your title, and hit send, and boom, it ends up in our mailbox as spam. But we're working on that. It's not spam anymore.
Are we? Was I supposed to change something? Or is that...
Well, yeah, it just says it's, what does it say? Hang on, let me see. Let me find one. It comes as your contact form. New form entry contact.
I will work on that. Right now.
Why don't yes, work on that.
It's right behind fixing the hoodie on the.
Yeah.
No, the hoodie is just part of the. That's just part of the fabric of the podcast. If you want a boring navy blue, maybe I should be. I should take into consideration the fact that nobody's ever ordered one of those.
Well, exactly. Nobody, I think, and the one time somebody tried to order a mug, they couldn't get it. So it's like,
well, no, but then we realized that whenever somebody orders something,
oh yeah,
maybe we should cut this part out. But then we realized
this is great.
That the money comes to me, but the bill for the product goes to you. And then we never got around to fixing that. So please keep ordering from our store. I would really appreciate it.
Yeah, so
Derek's gonna buy a new Bentley off of it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna start buying things just to run up Lionel's bill.
Yeah, I'm start getting bills for stuff, and I'm thinking I never bought any of this stuff. And then one day we realized, and I actually give him a tip of the hat because that's pretty sharp thinking. So let's see, we did our email address, we did the website. Oh yeah, and if you like this podcast and you like twice as much podcasting every week, you can join our Patreon channel, and for just a few cents a day, you get twice as much podcasting every week. And our Patreon channel, there's a lot of chatter. The guys just talking. We had a great show about the Steamliners at Spencer with Marcus. We do answer some emails, and we talk about other stuff. Or you can hear another episode with Blair over there this week. So that's it. We're done. Oh, and then if you like that and you move up to the T-shirt level, that's the most exciting part of Patreon. Then you're entered into the contest that's sweeping the globe. Hey, dude, where's my shirt? Because if you think the guy that's running the store is bad, the guy in charge of the T-shirts is that much worse. And we're proud of it. We are proud of our ineptitude. Ineptitude, yeah. You're going to be inept. Be really good at it.
Right.
All right. This is just going to be this is not an episode. This is just now that we're into the trilogy, deep into the trilogy. Blair, are you ready at the appropriate moment? You have to say something witty.
Okay. I'm supposed to say something. I forgot about that part.
Yeah, I know. You should have been practicing. So, Are you ready?
Sure.
So remember, Modeler's Life Podcast is considered marginally adequate by 6 out of 10
rail fans who are lost on the road for 37 days.
It's another Lincoln Homer.
Well, that was a good one.
That was good.
Yeah, that was he came up with that. We did the email address. What were your L's, Marcus?
Marquette Rail and Great Lakes Central.
Oh yeah, right. I must have been looking at something else. All right. Well, once again, you guys have bored me to death.